Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the This Is the Music Meets Podcast, an independent podcast show that's dedicated to introducing you to rising indie and alternative artists from across the UK and Ireland. If you're new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and please do like the video and leave us a comment as we would love to hear from you. Right then, let's get into this week's show. It's episode 162. And I'm delighted to have been joined by emerging artist Kurt Lloyd to chat about his debut EP, Born for Better Days, future gig plans, and what 2026 is looking like for the Blackburn native. So, Kurt, it is a very warm welcome to the This Is the Music Meets podcast. How you doing today, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. That's quite a strange coincidence, actually, because 62 is where my house was back in Blackburn. So, that's one of those like funny little bits of like mystery, you know what I mean?
I would love to say that I planned that you was on for this episode, but I'm not that clever.
No, yeah, it's a nice little coincidence. Funny how well life works out, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mentioned there that you're obviously Blackburn born and bred. Is that still the case? You're still up in that part of the world?
Yeah, I kind of move around a little bit, but yeah, I've always been from Blackburn. I've got a place over. Well, actually, no, I've kind of emigrated. I've moved over to Darwin, which probably causes a bit of controversy because I kind of a lot of my sort of images now and stuff on the album stuff. That's all Darwin, like Darwin Tower and all that.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
kind of shedding my roots a little bit, really. But yeah, it's still over that way. I mean, my and dad are all over there as well, and a lot of my mates. So yeah, still local.
And it has been a sort of a fairly hot topic over the last couple of weeks here in the UK, as is always the case when it comes to the weather. Were you impacted like by the snow or any of these, high winds or anything like that we've had?
It weren't too bad, I was over at my place the other week, and my mum was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to," because I was going over for Sunday dinner. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to get over soon." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, we're about to get snowed in," and it's just a classic UK overreaction. But I get there, it was like what, like an inch of snow on the ground. I was like, snowed in. Nah, yeah, there was nothing really. It's not too bad, to be fair, over there. Blackman's always pretty funny with the weather, like they never. To be honest, it's just kind of got like a set neutral of just always miserable and raining. You know what I mean? We never really get any of the extremes or anything like that. We kind of just stay consistently miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, let's hope we're going to bring a bit of sunshine to everybody today with this latest podcast episode. Obviously, as I mentioned there in the intro, you've just released your debut EP, and we're going to dive into that straight away because I think it seems a pretty good point to start. The EP, Born for Better Days, came out on the 30th of December. How are you feeling now that it's been out in the world? For what are we in about two and a bit weeks?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've had a really good reaction to it from quite a lot of people, to be honest. I think for a while, I think the EP is kind of, it almost is the point where you feel like you're actually starting to be a bit more serious now about it. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone can fire out a single, but like to sit there and actually consolidate and get 4 tunes together. I know 2 of them I've released anyway, but like, something that like plays from song to song and bounces to the next one as like a full piece of music. It was good, the reaction. I think people now, I've been getting quite a lot of messages from people who are just like, that's a really good song. I really liked. I mean, it's nice to hear like people like, Born for Better Days as being the title of the track. It's nice people reacting to that as well. But then also like it's leading on to the other stuff that's been released as well, and obviously ended on the streets. And I've had like a bit of a mixed reaction in terms of like, you get someone who's like, "Oh, that's a really good song," or you get someone say another, "Oh, that's my favorite song." So it's been really nice. It's been really nice to like, get that sort of boost behind me, and particularly as well, I think with the start of this year, like with gigs coming up and stuff, it seems to be like I'm getting a lot more engagement. So it's been really nice.
Brilliant. Well, that's exactly what we want to hear about is that increased engagement. Whenever there is a new release or gig dates as you've just mentioned there, but sort of on the title of the EP, as I say, Born for Better Days. It to me sort of feels sort of quite hopeful but reflective as well at the same sort of time. Where was your head at when the EP was starting to to take shape?
So the opening track, "Don't Know Me No More," that I wrote probably like 10 years ago when I used to be in a band, and it was going to be in that band. It was going to be a song for them. It always reminds me of like the Libertines, the Delaney, that sort of thing. Like that was the vibe that was going through my head when I wrote that song. But that kind of like shelved that. It just never really got played until I brought it back in. But that's kind of it's just a song. It doesn't mean anything, that one. I hate to say stuff like that, but that one's like it just kind of like just worked. Do you know what I mean? But I don't. It's interesting because like when I listen to certain songs, I listen to that and it doesn't really remind me anything. Now, if I go into Born for Better Days, I know I can tell you for some reason it reminds me of my bathroom back home because that's exactly where I was when the first tune comes to my head, because I always used to. Your bathroom's got really good acoustics, I always find, because of all the ceramics and the tiles. And I used to like play a lot in the bathroom, in the mirror and stuff like that. Obviously with my guitar and stuff.
Just get that in there quick.
Good save. Anyways, I think I remember it, like I was just jamming around the house and walking around and like that kind of like just strung that first chord. But I think at the first time it wasn't in the sort of capo 2 G, sort of like in the sort of key of A. I think it was like playing C or something. So I remember like catching that and I was like, oh, that sounds like a good tune. And when I think about where my head was, I just kind of like moved back to Blackman. I'd been away for a while in various like places. And it was almost like reflecting on being back in town, kind of like, being in a little bit of a stranger to my hometown in a way, because, like as you move away, your schoolmates, all that sort of stuff, you don't see them as much. And you kind of do become a bit of like an outsider, even though it's the only place you've ever known. So like, I think it was kind of a reflection of that. And then that just kind of like marries nicely into the streets at the end, which is kind of like the whole thing coming full circle of just, again, just this whole like just finding yourself back in your own place and your own town and kind of just trying to figure it all out and stuff, really, and adjust back into life. If you throw Josephine in that way as well, that's just a bit of a love song and stuff, kind of inspired by the Ridley Scott Napoleon film. But yeah, it's those 4 songs. I think it was written just as I was getting back into music, and it's really nice to like kind of bring it out now because I think it kind of like reflects all that time. And ultimately the theme is Born for Better Days. Like things are gonna get better, no matter where you are, and it's like appreciate like the better things in life. Like appreciate like. Like I said, more to life than a 2-car drive, isn't there, really? You know what I mean? Materialism and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I have to say, I love that lyric. Whenever I hear it, it always brings a little smile and a bit of a chuckle as well, because it is absolutely spot on in my view, that lyric. You obviously mentioned there that you wrote one song there about 10 years ago for a previous musical project that you were involved in, sorry, a band. Looking at the EP as a whole and sort of in each individual song, did they come, like when you were writing them, did they come quite quickly, or were you sort of writing a bit and coming back to it? What was kind of like your creative process, I guess, really?
My process is a bit weird, and I've seen this with other artists, like particularly like, and I don't want to like say Bob Dylan and try and like make a beeline for, I want to be the next Bob Dylan or anything like that. But there's a few others as well. I think what's he called? Willie Nelson's son, Lucius Nelson, and he says the same thing. It was interesting listening to them on like Joe Rogan podcast, and they're saying that sometimes like the songs, they just come out of the earth. Do you know what I mean? That's how they come to me. Like I'll just pick up the guitar, I'll be messing around, and it'll be like just picking up the guitar and playing the first chord of Live Forever or something. Like something will just happen, and I'll catch something, and I'll be like, oh, that sounds really good. Now then what I'll do is I'll kind of like get my phone out and I'll jam in what I've got. It'll be all nonsense lyrics and mumbling a lot of it. And then beyond that, I'll like kind of like sit down at the desk and, actually just refine over a bit of a process. Like Born for Better Days, that probably took like maybe like, probably the actual crux of the song didn't take that long. But then when you hear like early versions compared to what I'm playing now, lyrics change and stuff. I swap things out. I remember my mate the other day was saying that apparently in the first version I was saying like Tommy was a good boy, he never played with drums or something. I was like, what am I on about? You know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? You just keep, it's that natural refining and refining and refining until you finally get to where you're at with it. So I don't think I never sit down at the guitar and be like, I'm going to go out and write a song. And I think I can tell when people are doing that. I think the songs come and then I just catch them out the air before like Noel Gallagher or Jake Bugg or someone else finds them.
Yeah, yeah.
But well, I think even Noel Gallagher and other people have said like that's how they tend to find it. I think that's how the best songs are written, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going to say as well actually there about Noel Gallagher. I've heard him say that before, that he's convinced that all these songs are just, floating around up in the sky, and he's got to grab them before, it's quite right as you said before somebody else does. Just I found that quite interesting there what you were saying about, constantly refining. So like the lyrics and stuff like that. Do you quite enjoy that process? Do you find that you're like really analysing what you've written each time? You're just saying there about Tommy is a good boy, he's never played the drums and stuff. So are you constantly reviewing what you're doing to try and make what you feel like I guess a complete song, if that's right? I don't know.
I think you got to be careful. I think when I used to like write songs years ago, I just wrote the first thing that came down to my head. And in some ways, that's a better process. Because I think now, like, I'll look at a song and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I wrote that. That lyric's terrible. Like, what are you on about? And I'll refine it and I'll score it out and stuff. But you can take it too far the other way, where you end up in a position where you're like constantly refining. And you do have to get to a point where you're like, right, that's the song now. Leave it. It goes out to the world. Because you're just going to drive yourself mad. And again, go back to Noel Gallagher when he turned around and he said he'd have never finished Don't Look Back in Anger had he have known what it was going to be to people. And it's very easy to like do that with any sort of song. You know, like even sort of now, I wrote a song and it mentions like Blackburn in it. And then I'm like, well, that sounds quite good. And my old man really likes the song. But then I'm like, yeah, but how can you sell Blackburn to the rest of the world? So I'm going to have to change that lyric. And in the end, I was just like, look, the song's a song, you know what I mean? Like, we'll see what happens with it. But you've got to be careful. I certainly have to be careful now, because I think as soon as you start overthinking it, it's game over.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Okay. Is there one track on the EP that feels like, I guess like the emotional core of the EP, one song that sort of when you wrote it, you sort of like thought, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to put that out on an EP and I'm going to build other songs sort of around that one.
I think it's got to be Born for Better Days, doesn't it? And I remember as well, like when I found that picture I just found from like a photo shoot I did 2 years ago with my mate, and I'm like, that is a good picture. I just whacked some white writing across, and I'm like, yeah, Born for Better Days. It jumps off the page, you know what I mean? If I'd have called it like Josephine or something, people would just look at it and just be like, get out of here, you know what I mean? I can't remember what else I was going to call it. Sometimes I'll think back and I'll look at like stuff I was going to name it and I absolutely cringe. But yeah, Born for Better Days has got to be like the sort of, and like I say, it just kind of leads into, you've got the love song Ballad of Josephine after it, which is a little bit like, and I guess you can, do you know what, give Don't Know Me No More some credit. Really, it does fit into the theme of it. I've not really thought about it too much, but like I say, Don't Know Me No More. If I said what I said to you at the start, where it's all about like coming back and to a place where you're a bit unfamiliar with, which you couldn't be any, you are wholly familiar with at the same time, and then finishing on the streets as well. Like, I think it all naturally ties together in some sort of way.
Yeah, sure, okay. And one of the things when I do research this podcast sometimes. You've posted on your social media on your Instagram page that sort of like in 2025 that you've been scaling back on like the live shows to obviously concentrate on the recording of the EP. So sort of thinking like sonically, did you go into the EP knowing how you wanted it to sound, or did it just sort of reveal itself as you were as you were going along with the recording and laying the tracks down?
Well, it's really interesting. That's a good question, actually. Obviously, you ask loads of good questions. Not saying you know what I mean.
Sometimes
it's what you do. But what I mean is, it's a good thing to talk about. So when I got into Born for Better Days, I'd just done those two songs. I'd done Old Three Stripes and Looking for a Light, and I felt like I put a lot of pressure on myself to get bands together and make all the parts there, rehearse with my mates, and like, because it's hard now to pull a band together. It wasn't this hard 10 years ago. I don't know what's happened. Like, everyone just obviously plays Xbox now or something. No one wants to play the drums anymore. Like, honestly, it's mad. But to kind of like pull it together, in the end, I found a new studio, because the last studio that I'd been recording with had sadly shut down, and I didn't know where to go next. My mate had just been recording over at Clitheroe Grand, out in Clitheroe way, and he goes, "You need to go and work out there. There's Josh, the guy who records. He's great. You'll really enjoy working with him. Really creative. He'll get it." And I was like, okay. So I was just like, in the end, I was like, do you know what? We need to jump into this 2-footed. So I booked a couple of days in. I turned up, just me and an acoustic guitar, and we went through the demos. And what's so interesting is about those first three songs, and you can hear this on Born for Better Days particularly. When I said, "Do you like that?" at the end, that was supposed to be the raw. That was just to be a guide track, but it just seemed to work. I don't know what it is. It just, and I'd not. Everyone gets into like click tracking and all this, but for some reason, like with that EP, and I've done a bit of multi-tracking work since. It worked so well just to do me on the guitar, and it just captured like the rawness of it, and it all just worked. Same with Don't Know Me No More, Josephine, and then we even did The Streets as a live track as well with me and John, who supported on the piano, and it all just seemed to work in that way. And we kind of just, after that, we just built around the songs. So we've put a bit of different guitars on it. But if you're listening Born for Better Days, you can hear like the Hammond organ, because they have a Hammond organ there, which is like a really rare thing that not many studios are going to have. Again, just put the keys on it, just simple keys. And then obviously I watched Complete Unknown, went through a phase of just being obsessed with Bob Dylan for my sins. And then got was like, yeah, I'm getting out of the indie scene, I'm going into folk, and like, yeah, lost my head with that. Got a harmonica, and we were messing around with harmonicas on it, and it all just seemed to naturally, nicely come together. And then we just kind of like mopped over it at the end and added, laid up the guitars and stuff. So it really worked.
Yeah, no, I have to say, actually, I really enjoyed the sort of the harmonica playing, because on the track there, because one of the things, it's obviously quite unusual to hear it. I think of the indie scene as a sort of as a whole type of thing, what sort of genres fall into that at the minute. But it's unusual, but I sort of don't quite understand why more bands don't, or solo artists don't do that, because it's different, and it's I guess sort of captivating as well within, not to say that the song isn't captivating, but just adds a little bit more to it, really.
Well, I can tell you why, Mike. It's because I can't even play the harmonica, and not many people can. I was just going, you know what I mean? And I don't think it was in the right key. We had to like do some messing around to make it in the right key and tune it up and all sorts. But yeah, my mum wasn't a fan of the harmonica. She said it sounded like a bad Christmas song, and I was like, all right, cheers. If you ain't got your family behind you, what are you gonna do?
Come on, Mum.
Yeah, I know. I was like, thanks for that. I was like, oh, it wasn't the harmonica, it was the Hammond organ. And she was like, oh, what's wrong? I was like, what's wrong with an organ though? It sounds alright. It's a bit like, a bit of Roy Orbison, and you know what I mean? You can't really complain.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with Roy. And one of I want to sort of chat to you about, because as well as radio play, or mixed cloud play, I should say, with This Is the Music on the Rise of the Indie Artist show, you've also had proper radio play over in Germany. So how did that come about then?
So that was, I just got a message just from someone from Germany, and I think she's got like a German like equivalent, like of your show similar? Not obviously, like I don't know what it'd be called in German. It's similar, something like along the similar vein. And I was like, how did you find me? And she's like, oh, me fella found you, and showed it to me. He's like, I really like this and I really like that. I was like, that's mega. That, like, you know, that someone, you know, Kurt Lloyd's going international.
He'd
But
love
yeah,
it.
that was kind of cool. And I got back on. I was on BBC Introducing right at the start. We Don't Know Me No More, so that was pretty cool as well. You know, it's always nice to, you know, get a bit of like exposure in that way as well.
Yeah, and what then, you know, you've sort of touched on it a little bit. What then does getting your music played outside of the UK, how does that change your view, how you're building as an artist? Or, you know, is it just a case of, you know, do you know what I am doing is clearly working, and, you know, I need to sort of stick at this, you know, where I am at the minute as an artist?
I think ultimately the only way you're gonna do it, and there's loads of like ways. It's like, oh, you're either gonna go viral or
Hmm.
you can playlist yourself to build streams. But I don't really think that actually creates real actual growth. I think you know it just gets you like 10,000 streams and then you just drop off the radar because people are just listening to you while they're washing the pots and stuff. But I think the real way to do it is you've got to just build it brick by brick, haven't you? And
Hmm.
if one of those bricks comes from Manchester and another one comes from Germany, like I sound like I'm trying to be really prophetic here. It's just coming to my head. This, you know, eventually you just keep building it brick by brick, and you've got a house. So you just got to keep like adding to it. So the fact that like I've got someone here who's saying, "Oh, this is nice," or someone like one of my mates from school like reaches out, like it's obviously starting to mean something to someone. And like I say, the EP is kind of a bit of a statement of intent that I'm not here to just mess around and just throw like songs out willy nilly. Like, you know, it means something to me. And whether it goes anywhere or whether it just goes like, you know, the only people listening to it are my mum and dad. You know, ultimately, like I'm doing this just to get things out. It's kind of become a bit of a passion project, really, and kind of like my life's work now.
Yeah.
In a weird way, I just want to just keep writing songs and releasing them until I, you know, till I pass on to the next world. Hopefully not anytime soon, you know. But yeah.
Absolutely, definitely not, because you know, certainly this EP, and also as well the five singles that you've put out, you know, prior to this, I think have been absolutely fantastic, and I've certainly really enjoyed listening to each release that you've put out. But that sort of ties us in actually quite nicely with the next question, because as I say, you've put out five singles so far, plus the EP as well, as we've just touched upon. Obviously, sort of looking back on that sort of so far, as an independent artist, what has then been like the biggest challenge, do you think, in terms of getting your music heard so far?
Oh, it's a good question. Biggest challenge, I
Because
think. Go on, sorry, mate.
I was going to say, because obviously one of the things, it's not just, you know, coming up with the song, you know, and the chords and the lyrics and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff, and then getting it recorded, but there's obviously also as well that whole, you know, social media side of things. Also, it is quite tough,
Yeah,
right?
that can be quite nauseating, to be honest, because and especially when you're trying to work out the sort of dark world of meta ads and putting money in to try and like boost your stuff, it is difficult. I think trying to like market it's hard because that's a second job in itself,
Mm.
and it takes you away from like, you know, the sort of the real artistry and the real songwriting, which is what you're there to do. And also as well, like everyone's just trying to go viral these days, aren't they? So, you know, I'm trying not to like do too much of that and just focus on just getting like the ads out there, getting the promo and stuff. I don't want to get consumed by that though. But it's very easy to get consumed into it, especially in all the likes and all the other rubbish. And yeah, you've got to like try and avoid it really.
Yeah, no, definitely. So coming away from the studio, let's talk about live shows. Look ahead to what you've coming up in the sort of the next couple of weeks, really, because you've got a show at Burnley Mechanics on the
Mm.
1st of February, and you've also got a headline show on the 21st of February with the venue to be announced. Looking across your socials at the minute. So sort of, I'm saying about the live dates, but I'm going to go back into the studio here as well, looking about the EP. Are there any songs from the Born for Better Days EP that you're sort of like really looking forward to playing live? You know, is there going to be any sort of like shift or change in how they sound sonically on the EP to when you come in to play them live?
I think Bowling for Better Days, it is going to be a bit more stripped back because unfortunately I don't have a Hammond organist who I can like kind of pull out on the tour. I am trying to get a band together, so if there's anyone listening to this who plays the drums or is anything like that, who does want to, likes what they hear and wants to join along, that is my next sort of plan. But I think for now, just keep them as they are. Potentially try and get the old harmonica Bob Dylan-y thing on, like that sort of neck brace.
Put a drum kit on your back as well.
Yeah, yeah, God, yeah. No, that'd go down really well in Burnley, especially put a big a big Blackburn Rovers badge on the back as well. But yeah, no, I think it's just going to be like just play it and just see how it goes down. It's going to be interesting to actually because I've not really played yet. Well, I played the other night, but I've not properly played to a larger audience with the EP out, and now I've got a bit of a repertoire. I'd like to think people are listening now, and people actually are going to know the songs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see how it goes down. Like,
yeah, definitely. And for anyone listening to the podcast, why what is the one reason why people should come out and see you, Kurt, on those two gigs there that we've just mentioned?
Oh, good point. I think if you want to catch something raw and honest, and you actually just want to catch someone who just actually loves his tunes and wants to get them out there, that's the reason you should come and see me. And also to see the start of something amazing. Well, potentially, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Brilliant, love that. And Kurt, you just mentioned there that Blackburn Rovers fan. It's not going too well, is it, at the minute? Obviously, you got knocked out at the FA Cup at the weekend. Courtesy, I've got to say this, courtesy of a sort of a friend of mine, the Hull City goalkeeper Dylan Phillips. A few saves there. Yeah, absolutely amazing at any sport that he does. But yeah, obviously brilliant goalkeeper. But the season's not looking too good because you're at the wrong end of the championship at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, it's almost like how it was. Well, when was it? 2017. I don't want to like prophesize doom or anything. It has vibes to back then. Do you know what I mean? But that was, hopefully, I'd like to, no one wants to see his team go down. I've not really, to be honest, been as involved in Rovers in the last 2-3 years as I used to be, just because I like music and stuff. And also it was just getting to the point where my old man still goes, but it was just getting to the point where I can't see something that ruins my Saturdays and Sundays. Do you know what I mean? There's enough things that put me in a bad mood. So I kind of like fell off the radar really with it. But that 2017 season, 2016-17 season when we went down and we dropped into League One, and then we rebounded straight back up again. But that League One season was like the best season we had. I'd like to think we're going to, obviously, inch it and stay up. It's always a difficult one though, isn't it? You don't know. You don't know with the championship. The championships, it's an insane league, and we've been there since 2012 now. It's been a long old time, a long old slog. But either way, hopefully stay up. If not, imagine we're still getting an interesting season in League One. But I don't want to prophesize anything. I don't want people coming back to me like, you said this on this podcast. It was all you. My dad will be like, he'll be the one who'll be blaming me for saying it. But
brilliant. Well, hopefully you will stay up because the way that the Premier League, so I'm a West Ham fan. Certainly the way that season's going, we'll probably see you in the Championship next year. I think because it's going to be tough for us to stay up in a minute with bit of a big gap between us in the relegation zones to Nottingham Forest that are just outside of it at the minute. But we'll wait and see what happens, as you say. Anyway, let's get back to the music because obviously that's why we're here. And what we're going to do now, we're going to ask you sort of some not light-hearted, I guess they are maybe light-hearted and sort of like some more questions to find out a little bit more about you and your musical interests and
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of tastes and that sort of stuff. So the first question I'm going to ask you: what are your three favorite albums of all time?
Three favorite albums. That changes every other week. Off my head, I'm gonna have to say you're gonna have to start with Oasis. Like, you know what I mean? Like, definitely, maybe, probably. It's a toss up in it between definitely, maybe, and What's the Story, Morning Glory. But yeah, let's say definitely, maybe. It's definitely up there. I'm
Yeah,
still listening to that now. Like, I'll never get bored of it.
no.
Um, it's like asking to which one of your kids you love the most, sort of thing. Um, do I throw the Beatles in there?
It is tough because when you think,
It
there are
really, no, it
so
really
many
is.
classics.
Mega into the Clash for affairs as well, and they've had a big influence. Do you know what? I'm gonna throw in a bit of a wide ball. I have to say this, and people might be controversial. Uh, American Idiot is definitely on there.
Yeah.
Controversial,
Mhm.
but that was the first album I ever bought and listened to, cover
Right.
to
Okay.
cover.
Yeah. No, it
That's
makes
that's like
sense.
a mega sort of. That was like my introduction to music. Um,
That is think of the singles off of that album. Brilliant, brilliant
well, it's
singles.
just that was my standard. I just thought all albums were like that after that. Every
Yeah.
album is like banger after banger after banger after banger. It's like going to Oasis this summer, you know what I mean? There's just bangers after bangers.
Yeah.
That's uh, probably Bob Dylan, freewheeling Bob Dylan as well. It's got to be up
Nice.
there.
Yeah.
Throw a bit of folk in there again. That's another sort of album where there's just bang after banger, and I'm listening. I've been listening to that quite a lot this year, so yeah, that's definitely up there. But honestly, I could say 100, like, 100 other albums. Uh, it's a really difficult one, you know.
No,
Even
I do.
even
I do.
Hat Full of Hollow by the Smiths. Um, that's a good album as well. I used to one of the big albums that changed. I remember listening to and really changed me was not changed me, but Stone Roses' first album. Would I listen to it now as much? I don't know, but I still always remember listening to that in my bedroom on my record player and just hearing it and getting all the way through and just hearing like "I Am the Resurrection" at the end, and you're just like,
I think one of and well, about all the three choices that you chose there, and about the Stone Roses as well, that I think that they still sound as fresh and exciting, like now, however many years later they've all been released, as what they did like then. Do you know what I mean? I think
mm,
that's obviously the sign of a really, really good album, and obviously being passed down to the next generation of music fans.
yeah.
Obviously it is a new year. We're in 2026. What will be 13, 14 days in to the year. Are you someone that makes New Year's resolutions? And if you have, how are they going? Have you managed to stick with them so far?
Um, I think this year is probably like if there's one resolution that's kind of like probably go more in on my music. What have I done so far that's an actual resolution? Probably cut down on drinking, to be honest. That's actually been a good one. I didn't really drink much over Christmas because I ended up with a flu. So I think this year I'm going to avoid that probably a bit more. Getting up early, that's a good one actually. I've been doing that a lot more. Been getting up at like 5 in the morning. I've never been a morning person, but
Wow.
gets everything out the way, and then hopefully it means that in the evenings I can actually, come in and sit on the old Gibson and play the guitar and all that. But
I thought he was going to give us a quick little strumming session there, so to
I did.
speak. That
Yeah,
sounded wrong, but
need, yeah, I need to give it a tune. But yeah, just more time on the guitar, more writing songs. I think I've kind of like set a few things. I have that habit happen. One is like try and write a song a week, get up early, try and post like a cover or something a week. I don't want to like try and get too much into the social media space, even though it's like a bit of a necessary evil. But just trying to like commit to the project really, and then I've got an intent to. I've got the album coming out. Hopefully, try and release a song every 8 weeks within reason. So yeah, there's a few there. few there so that you can hold me to accountable next time I'm on.
Definitely. I will. I'm gonna clip this clip and replay it to you during the next time, as you say that you're on. Who would be your dream support slot? Any artist?
Currently
Yeah,
now,
going now. Yeah,
uh, I mean, you went to Oasis this year, didn't you? You know what I mean?
did. Yeah.
Imagine that. Like, I think I could probably do a better job than Cast.
Well, he's going big.
I'm only joking. No, it was good. You know, Cast and Richard Ashcroft were mega, like,
Yeah.
mega supporters into that. And especially like Richard Ashcroft leading into that. Yeah, Oasis would be. Who wouldn't want to support Oasis? Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get any better than that. If we're gonna say more to like my folky roots and that sort of folk side, I'm embracing a little bit. I did go and see Bob Dylan this year. He don't do supports though, so I ain't really got a chance for that. But there's this, I watched this other guy as well at Academy Free Code, Jesse Wells. He's a big influence this year. He's like he's a bit like American folk singer. You probably see him, he like sings all like TikTok songs and stuff. Yeah, he'd be a good one as well. But I think we'll have to say with Oasis after seeing that gig, it was mega.
Yeah, no, it was. It was a great summer, and certainly something that I never thought that I'd get to see again. So buzzing that they did reform, and I think brought a lot of happiness into people's lives last summer. Sticking with the music theme, if you could play any festival, because clearly we all need some sunshine at the minute, so that's what we associate festival season with. So yeah, if there was any festival, we say UK festivals that you want to play at, get on your bucket list. What would it be?
Bring back Tea in the Park. That's what I say.
Yeah, that was always so good, wasn't it?
That was like an indie festival, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like I wonder if people know. I don't know. It's been like 10 years since Tea in the Park. I went to the last one. Was it Strathallan? It was Strathallan, wasn't it? Where it all went completely petong. Like, I remember seeing the comments. It like 2 or 3 people died. It was just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, it was a pretty sorry state in the end. But I think for the spirit of what it was, like at the time, like, it was mega. Like what it actually did for indie music. You had like massive bands on. I remember watching like Jake Bugler, Soul No Gallagher's Wi-Fi and Birds, Stone Roses. Like there was that was the premier festival. But I don't think they're going to bring it back, are they? They've done Transmit now. Yeah, if I could do one festival, it would have to be Tea in the Park. What time to be alive?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and agree. I'm not sure how many people do realise, the origins of it, and again, I guess they're just moving with the times, but it is a bit frustrating sometimes. Looking back on your music, which song from the Born for Better EP would you say that This Is the Music listeners should put on repeat, and getting into your music, and why should they put that particular song on repeat?
Do you know what? I think if there's one thing I think I can do, it's like catchy anthematic tunes with a bit of a chorus. Born for Better Days is certainly not going to be the last one that I've got, because I've got quite a few more to do. But getting to Born for Better Days, it's got a chorus. Every song's got a chorus. You know what I mean? It's got a good chorus. The whole song's a pretty good song, to be honest. I quite like it. But yeah, if you want to get about that sort of that bouncy vibe that I'm about, listen to that. If you want to cry yourself to sleep, listen to probably The Streets or something. That can be your Sunday listening or whatever. But yeah, let's go on a positive. Born for Better Days. Better days are coming. Go with that one.
Brilliant, love it. And what then is the rest of 2026 looking like for you, Kurt? Are we, obviously we mentioned a couple of gigs there. You've just sort of touched upon previously about your plans for new music. What is the the overarching goal that you want to look back on, or look out when you get to December of this year and go, yeah, do you know what? I set out to do this and I did the lot.
I think the album release, that's going to happen, because like I said, last year we just kept on recording until we had like loads, and then in the end we were like, well, we've got this, and let's release this as an EP and let's release this as an album. And so I think to finish off that, there's a few more little bits and bobs I need to do with that, but not an awful lot of studio time this year because one, I need a break from it. Like, you know, I always think it's good to get something out there, tour it, whatever. Gig more, gig a lot more. Like, get out there, get my face in. Like, break into Manchester a little bit. Like, I've not really been over there in years, other than from a stag do like 6 months ago. But yeah, get into Manchester, get into the cities, see if I can just get some sort of support slots. Really, you know? Hopefully, like the EP is like a bit of a staging point for that. People can listen to that, and be like, oh yeah, he's actually all right. Him, he isn't just like some sort of like little wannabe in his bedroom with his guitar. He's actually can write a tune or two. But yeah, hopefully that's the plan.
Brilliant, great stuff. Look, Kurt, unfortunately, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thanks very much for coming on and joining me for episode 162. But before I do let you go, can you just let the This Is the Music listeners know the social media platforms that they can find you on?
Yeah, so you can find me on MySpace. No, I'm joking.
That was great, that social media channel. I loved that back.
Yeah, that's a blast from our past, isn't it? Do you know what though? Someone the other day, they were like, "Oh, I just listened to you on Deezer." I was like, "What? What's Deezer?" I was like, "Never." Yeah, so people find you all sorts of things. Currently, at the moment, it's mainly just Instagram. I try and keep it simple and stuff. I don't have Facebook unless people want to start stalking my personal Facebook and seeing pictures of my Mars cat and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, just stick to Instagram. That's where you can kind of find it all. That's what I focus all my efforts in. You'll find all my stuff on there, all my like gig dates, any sort of upcoming music, and just to keep up with a weird and wonderful life of the usual rubbish that I do. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Well, it's definitely not rubbish. I can assure you of that right now. And we'll put the Instagram link in the episode bio. Also, as well, along with the one gig date that's 100% confirmed at Burnley Mechanics. We'll put the ticket link as well in that, all the details as well in the episode bio. Kurt, as I say, all that leaves me to say is to thanks once again for giving up your time and coming on the podcast. I've said to you on here today, and I've said to you, you know, when we've messaged each other on Instagram, that I think the EP is absolutely brilliant. I really enjoy listening to it. Keep doing what you're doing because there's, you know, great tunes on that EP, and obviously your wider stuff as well. We'll put the link as well to your Spotify page in the episode bio too, and just keep doing what you're doing, man, because you've got something there that I think people are gonna, you know, really get into and really enjoy as well.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, it's either the top of the world or the bottom of the canal. But yeah, well, thanks very much anyway, Mark. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's been mega to come on and finally, you know, see each other like sort of screen to screen as we will. But yeah, thanks very much for what you're doing. You know, I'll keep sending you stuff. You always get first dibs because, you know, you've been a massive support. So thanks very much.
All that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for watching and listening to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, please leave us a like and a comment, as it will help the podcast, but more importantly, the artists that I interview to be discovered and beat those pesky algorithms. If you are watching or listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then stay tuned, because at the end of the episode, you'll be able to hear Born for Better Days by Kurt Lloyd, which features on his debut EP of the same name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon for another This Is the Music Meets podcast. And remember, the future is bright. The future is indie.